Chapter 4. Nobody knows where Charlie got the gun he used to hold up Poncho's candy store 3 years ago. Not even Tyree. When the cops showed up at our house that night, Mama and Tyree were sitting at the dining room table. Tyree had just cashed his check from the publishing company where he worked part-time, and Mama was filling out the money order for rent. Ever since I can remember, Tyree had sat with Mama at the table, the dim light from the floor lamp in the corner turning them a soft golden brown. While Mama filled out the money order and figured out how to pay some of the other bills, Tyree made grocery lists and school supply lists and added and re-added the cost of everything. Some evenings he'd sit clipping coupons for the cereals we liked and laundry detergent Mama used. He'd put all these things in an envelope on top of the refrigerator and take them down when he and Mama sat at the table figuring and refiguring. That's what they were doing the night the cops knocked on our door looking for Charlie. I was sitting in front of the television watching the news, because on weeknights, Mama let us only watch 1 hour of regular television and then as much news as we wanted. I didn't really care for watching the news, but it was better than nothing. Charlie had told Mama that he was going to an afternoon school program to get help with his math homework. When he came in at 7 that night, the news was going off, and me, Mama, Tyree, and the cops were all waiting. Charlie had been too dumb to get rid of the gun. The cops found it and $250 in his pockets. Charlie was 12 and a half. Too young for real jail, so they sent him to the Rahway Home for Boys. It was one of the few times I'd ever seen Mama cry. I turned and eyed Tyree now. He was leaning against the back of the couch with his eyes closed. I turned the TV down a bit more. I had been 12 for only 3 weeks, but it felt like forever. Every day, Tyree found a new way to remind me not to end up like New Charlie. But I wasn't New Charlie. I was Lafayette. I had a bit more sense in my head. I could hear kids running up and down outside in the street and some girls playing jump rope. I heard a fire truck go by and a little kid crying for his mama. We live on the 6th floor. If you hang out our window and look way over to the left, you can see Central Park, the very edge of it near the ice skating rink. You can see the tops of trees. They were turning all different colors now, and you can see lots of cars. If you look to your right, you can see George Washington Bridge. Early in the morning, you can hear the traffic coming over it. Right across the street is a bunch more buildings like ours, old gray and beige buildings with lots of floors and lots of apartments. Years and years and years ago, the buildings used to be fancy, Tyree says, but not anymore. Now they're just old buildings filled with people getting by. That's what me and Tyree and New Charlie were, people getting by. Tyree, I whispered, you asleep? Tyree shook his head. I looked down at the remote control, then back up at the television. What's up? Can I tell you something? Maybe, said Tyree sleepily, if I know it. I tried not to think about New Charlie's face when he said the words, when he called me Milagro Killer. Can you tell me about when Mama died? Tyree frowned, then slowly opened his eyes. It's Friday night, Lafayette. Go play some ball. I shrugged. I don't feel like it. It's gonna be winter soon. Then it'll be too cold to be hanging. I said I don't feel like it. What do you want to know about it? Tyree asked. He sounded tired. After a moment, he put his hand on my knee. I wanted to put my hand over his, but I didn't. Just like how come? You know how come. She had diabetes. She went into insulin shock. But why? 'Cause she didn't have enough insulin in her. Her body just sort of shut down. I bit my bottom lip. Then what happened? Tyree sighed, leaning back against the couch. You found her the next morning, he said. He sounded real patient, like he was talking to a very little child. She hadn't got up to fix your breakfast. You were in the 4th grade. You always liked oatmeal in the morning. You tried to wake her up to fix you some. Where were you, T? I'd left for school already. I'd just graduated the day before, and I was going back to pick up my diploma and say goodbye to people. And knew Charlie was at Rahway, right? Tyree nodded. He'd been there for 2 months when Mom died. Once, Mama had said to me that time is like a movie, something you watch real close, wanting to catch every line, every action, every moment. Then it passes and you feel like no time passed at all. She said that when her parents died. Time didn't stop the way people always say it does. She said it just became more precise. Ooh, precise means clear. Every minute, hour, day mattered that much more. Charlie had been in Rahway for 2 months. There were 4 days between the time I found her and the day we buried her. The morning I found Mama, the clock beside her bed said 7:44. "Mama," I whispered, "you're oversleeping." And now years have gone by, like no time at all. "You remember the last thing you said to Mama T?" Tyree smiled. "I told her to make sure that when she ironed my green shirt, she didn't put any starch in it. I didn't like starch in that shirt for some reason." "You like starch in the other ones, though?" "Yeah, I do." I twirled the remote around in my hands. "I think I told her she was oversleeping," I said, but she didn't hear me. Her hair was hanging down over her face. I moved her hair away, but I didn't call nobody. I should have called somebody. "You did," Tyree said, "but that was later on." "It was too late then." "It was too late when you found her, Laugh." I put the TV on mute and watched some people dance across the screen. They looked so happy dancing, like dancing was the best thing in the world. I was wearing my Brooklyn t-shirt, I whispered, and jeans. Mama was wearing her yellow pajamas, the one with toasters on them. "Remember those?" Tyree nodded, but he didn't say anything. Me and Charlie had given her those pajamas for Christmas the year before. They'd been on sale, and me and Charlie couldn't believe we had enough money to buy Mama pajamas with toasters on them. She always burned the toast. She thought we liked it that way. Tyree looked down at his hands and smiled. "But how come?" "'Cause none of us ever had the heart to tell her we didn't." I swallowed and stared at the TV. Because we loved her too much to hurt her feelings. We didn't say anything for a long time. It was starting to get dark out. When I looked over at Tyree, he was frowning down at the floor. He bent over and picked up a straw wrapper. "I told Charlie to sweep. You see him sweeping?" I shrugged. "He could have done it while I was at school or something." "He didn't sweep," Tyree said, his voice getting loud. "Look at this floor. Look at it." "It looked fine to me." "I'll sweep it." "No, I'll sweep it," he said, and he got up and went into the kitchen. "I have to do everything in this house. Everything." I could hear him in there banging around. Then I heard him sniff and blow his nose. A few minutes later, I could hear him making choking sounds. I went into my room and then closed the door, not wanting to hear Tyree crying, not wanting to hear anything. A long time ago, he had given me his green shirt. I pulled it out of my drawer and spread it across my pillow, and then I put my face in it. "Mama," I whispered, "wake up."